Hello, everyone. This is Angela here, and today I want to talk about the narcissistic personality disorder. And today's topic is going to be um, reflections on my childhood and how my childhood trauma from narcissistic abuse created anxieties disorders and how it affected my childhood, me as a child, and how I still carry some of this in the future, in the present. Okay. I had to do a lot of work on myself over the years to recover from narcissistic abuse. Okay. And one of the things that I want to tell everyone in this community is that I am not living my life as a victim of my past. Okay. I accept what has happened to me, and I have learned and grown into a healthy adult. I no longer have codependency issues. I'm in a good place in my life, and that's a beautiful thing. But today's video is about me journeying back into the past to talk about how my parents' relationship affected me in particular, but I want to talk a little bit about my siblings and how it affected them and their struggle for um struggle in with living, excuse me, in a household with two toxic parents. Okay, now whether or not my mother had narcissistic personality disorder is unknown. Okay, I do not know that because she was never evaluated by a mental health professional. But if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, so to speak. Okay, so I remember when I was a child that my mother's hoarding caused a lot of stress. It caused stress on my father, it caused stress on my siblings, and it caused stress on me. Our needs were not met, and both emotionally and physically. Okay, many times I went to school in dirty clothes because my mom did not wash my clothes. There were points in time in my life where I went to Catholic school, which is a bit easier because you wore the same thing every day. You had to wear a school uniform. And there were times in my life when I went to public school and I did not have adequate clothing. I remember going to school wearing the same pants for a whole week because I just didn't have clothes. My parents didn't buy them. Um, and they were dirty, and the school complained, and it caused a lot of stress because not only are you dealing with the situation at home, but as a child, I also had to deal with bullying in school, teasing, bullying, not having friends. And it was extremely stressful. Um, I had extreme anxiety, and how I used to cope with it was either I would overeat, stuff myself on junk to soothe myself, or I used to pick my skin. And I picked my scalp so bad because sixth grade was like my hardest year, fifth and sixth grade, and with the bullying and the teasing. And what happened was, I picked my scalp so bad that I had sores all over my scalp. And this because I used to pick at my scalp, the kids thought that I had lice, and they used to tease me saying that I was a bug head and all this other stuff, which wasn't the case. The picking came from anxiety, and it wasn't. treated, okay? It wasn't treated. Um, I had some hair loss in the back, but I'm not really sure. I had said that it was a result of my mom pulling my hair, but I don't really know if that's the case. I'm being for real here. Now that I come to think about that, because I did pick my skin quite a bit. And when I was home, my parents used to fight all the time, so much so that the cops were called and the police used to visit our house nearly every weekend. When I was real little, about 5 or 6 years old, um, my brother and my sister and I, because my parents used to put us to bed, and their fighting used to wake us up, and we used to sit at the top of the stairs looking down at my parents, like screaming at each other. And sometimes their fights used to get physical. A lot of it I don't remember, but a lot of it I do. And yeah, it created a lot of anxiety to the point where I had very low self-esteem growing up. Um, it was very hard for me to communicate how I felt with my parents because they just weren't interested. And it wasn't horrible all the time. Okay. There were good days, with my family, but there were also quite a bit of bad days. Okay. Um, I don't think that I would have been able to overcome everything that I've overcome in my life if it wasn't for my, my loving grandparents. They were loving and good people. Um, they weren't perfect, but they were good people. And, so I had some good influence in my life, as did my siblings. Now, my siblings, they also suffered, okay, because everybody suffers under the narcissistic spectrum. My brother was given responsibility on him. He was parentified, right? He was the one who ruled the roost when my parents weren't home. Because my dad was always working and so was my mom, and they weren't home when we came home from school. So my brother was parentified, and he took his frustrations out on us kids. And that was a really hard thing to cope with. It really was. Um, my sister Geraldine and I were bullied by my brother. We were teased. We were hit. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Now, I can't blame everything on him because that was up to my parents to discipline him. And it was also up to my parents to be the head of household, not put that responsibility on him. So, in essence, he too suffered under that. Also, my brother was extremely embarrassed about the hoarding, and I think that's one of the reasons why he acted out. And it was pretty bad. My brother has, I would say, obsessive compulsive disorder. He likes everything neat, everything in order, to the obsessive, like washing his walls, washing everything once a week. So he turned into that type of individual. Everything is rigid. Everything has to present itself in a quote unquote perfect manner with him. And I'll go into more detail with that in another video and how it negatively affected his life. But I'm just saying that's how his childhood was. My sister Geraldine, she didn't have the cognitive ability to understand different things like we did, but she did understand abuse, okay? Even somebody who's uh, quite cognitively dysfunctional can understand that when they're being hit, that's not a good thing. And she used to soothe herself by rocking, just rocking and rocking and rocking and rocking and rocking. And to this day, she still sits in her rocking in my reclining rocking chair and rocks and rocks and rocks and rocks and rocks. I have a serious gum addiction. I have to chew and chew and chew and chew and chew, and I never overcame that. And you could hear me chewing gum in a lot of my videos, which isn't done out of ignorance. It's done out of oblivion. And I'm trying to work on that because I don't mean to be rude to anybody, but that's just from anxiety. Okay. Also, from anxiety is overeating. Okay. A lot of people, there's that show, The 600-Pound Life, and a lot of these children, a lot of these people that are morbidly obese were children who were abused, and they used food to soothe themselves. They share that with their own personal stories. So there's a connection there between abuse and morbidly obese people. And I can relate to that. I was never extremely morbidly obese, but food was a major source of pleasure in my childhood, and I was an overweight child. Um, it was very difficult looking back in those years, dealing with that, how being a child of a hoarder, and not only that, coping with all that, but also being blamed for the hoard. The narcissist hoarder scapegoated, the children, blaming the hoard on the children, saying, using the excuse that she had to work all the time and that it was the children's responsibility to keep the house neat and orderly. Really? Okay, really? No boundaries, no structure. So that was another issue. And my grandparents fell for that. They really did. Why don't you help her? You're working. Why don't you help her? Really? Ask any child of a hoarder what would happen if you threw away anything that you saw as junk, but the hoarder saw as valuable. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think that I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'm going to talk more in detail about what it's like living as a child of a narcissist hoarder. So, with that said, I hope you all are enjoying yourselves and are safe and happy, and that your life gets better. That, you know, I hope you're at a good place in your life, and if you're not, that you're seeking out the help that you need. And I just want to remind everybody that this channel is not about mental health therapy. It's about my experiences talking about narcissistic abuse and how it pertained to my life and my siblings' life and my relationships and my ex-husband and my kids and just life in general. And I know that I'm not alone out there. And I just want you all to know that you're not alone either. You're not alone. And that we could talk about this with an open heart and an open mind and help heal each other, you know? So, with that, I'm going to say thank you all who watch my videos and stay safe out there. Take care. Bye.